Hi, everyone. What's going on? Happy New Year. For everybody that's returning, thank you for spending the last part of 2025 with me. Let's enjoy 2026. For everybody who's new here, hi, my name is Donovan Yruegas. I also go by Donovan Barricade Yruegas, but we'll get into that a little bit more. Most importantly, I'm sorry I lied. I know that this week's episode, one, is late. Two was supposed to feature Skookabilly, which is a amazing and wonderful D&D content creator that you guys will get to see next week, and then Corey J. Phillips the week after. But something happened, and it was a very, very amazing person who has recently come into my life. Salazar said, "You know what you need to do is you need to let people know what's going on next. Introduce yourself, let people figure out why you're here. For one, who are you? What is this channel about? And how does it differ from everything else you've done, by yourself?" And I think that's something that I needed to do. And I've never really done it solo for any project I've worked on, any channel I've been a part of, anything like that. So we're going to try and attempt this and try and make this the best that we can. Once again, hi, my name is Donovan Yruegas. So what is so important about me? Nothing really, other than the fact that I just love talking to people. So I guess within 2021 is when this all started. I did a show that you can still find on Spotify called Frame Rates and Face Locks. And I still have a lot of the stuff for that. I love the name and what I did on there. I had a co-host. His name was Mike. And every week, for a couple of weeks, we just talked about, the first half of every episode was wrestling. The second half turned into pop culture. Originally, it was supposed to be video games. Then it turned into pop culture. Then it turned into football. And then it just escalated into just debauchery from there. And we enjoyed it. And then he disappeared. He got busy in life. I didn't really do much with it because I didn't even know if I wanted to continue, doing shows by myself. And I attempted, and I got a couple of guests here and there. And from there, I was like, you know what? I like what I do, and I like this form of content, but I don't know if I can keep going. And we tried to do it for another year, and it didn't work out. And then from there, I created possibly something that will always be a core memory in my heart, which is Downtime in the Ring. And that was where initially I wanted to get into just pro wrestling. And I started training a little bit during that time. I already had trained back in 2018 in West Texas, in Lubbock, Texas. And from there, I decided, hey, I went from 2018, the back half of 2018 into 2020, and like March of 2020 was when I was supposed to debut with a company, and then COVID happened, and then I was released from the oil field. But those can be different stories for a different time. Kind of let you figure out who I am, and from there. So let's get back on track a little bit. We're going to have tangents, and I'm very sorry for anybody who doesn't like tangents. I really am, but my mind goes all over the place. So Downtime in the Ring. I initially had the idea with my girlfriend, and it was I wanted it to only be 50 episodes. And each episode featured a wrestler from a different state. And it would be a wrestler from a different state, so that no matter where I traveled in the indies, I would always have somebody who knew the area. And I think we accomplished maybe 7 states before I finally hit the point where I was like, this could be something for me. And it still can. I mean, I have everything. I would love to bring that towards, bring a mixture of Downtime in the Ring to Crash City. But then I brought on my stepbrother and co-host Chris, and for the first while he kept just calling it my show, and then he kind of started falling in love with it a little bit more because we started getting more notoriety in our state, and then we just started meeting more and more people. We've gotten to meet Riddle, Martin Casaus, who was Marty the Moth in Lucha Underground. We got to meet former TNA star Manny Lemons, who is a great friend, a fantastic person. We love him. We got to meet, Dijak. We've got to hang out with Monteasy. I mean, Monteasy helped me bring, John Connor into my life. Like, there's so many different people that I've gotten to meet. And for anybody who's wondering, Monteasy, you've heard his theme songs. He's, best friends with Swerve Strickland. He does Shane Taylor's theme song. He's done, I think he worked with Leon Slater for a little bit. He's done so many different theme songs. And that was something that I love. And I know for a lot of people, they're probably going to be like, well, I'm not primarily professional wrestling based. Why would I listen to your show? And so that's where I want to also shed light into Culture Mania and into Effing Around, a few other shows that I did. I had a co-host there, Culture Mania. I was still doing Downtime in the Ring, but John, the artist John Connor, who used to work with Dr. Dre, he used to be signed to his label. We hit it off as friends, and we were like, man, we would love to work together. And we created Culture Mania for a little bit. And then Life of a Musician, man, he is always busy. But I never took that to heart that we couldn't record. I just knew that, wherever he is, whatever he's doing, I'm going to cheer him on. I'm going to make sure that he knows that I support it, because that's his bread and butter. That's what he made his name off of. And, that's where all the love is, man. And I'm so grateful I get to meet artists like that. And, I got to, we created a website called iNorilla.com, and it lasted for about a year. And before I finally said, hey, we got to pull the plug and work on our own content before we try to bring this back up. And we did a show called Effing Around. And that's where I got to meet adult film star Ashley T. I got to meet Tom Gibis, who plays Shikamaru. Actually, some of these, the picture of the woman right there is Ashley T. And then that is Tom Gibis's autograph and Naruto's autograph. I've gotten to meet them. I got to meet Steve Staley. That's how I met Corey. That's how I met Phil Parsons. Steve Staley is Neji in Naruto. Corey J. Phillips is everywhere in almost every anime or Home Depot commercial, Chuck E. Cheese. He's done a lot. And then Phil Parsons is now Gajil in Fairy Tale. So, there's so many different people that I've gotten to meet, and there's so many different people I've gotten to interact with. Megan's Hollingshead, because I have a couple of, I have different signed Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I spent a lot of my time primarily in professional wrestling, and I'm always going to love it. And for certain places, it will always have love for me. I'm always welcome there into the block rooms, and I'm grateful for that. But my love for talking to people, for interviewing people, for finding new things about people is everything. Like, when the day that we get, football athletes, basketball athletes, scientists, astronomers, hopefully astronauts, I want to interview everybody. Everybody has a story. And yes, we've primarily focused on content creators starting out, but that's because I knew I need help getting this going. And I know that having these amazing human beings, they're going to give me the motivation to do so. And I love it. And I think that's something that we all need to strive on and focus on and help each other. And it's been a wonderful time. And there's nothing that I would ever take away from any of those. Because don't get me wrong, walking into an interview with any of these people is gut wrenching, and it's scary because you don't know who you're talking to. But then 30 minutes into it, I've been blessed to get compliments saying, oh, this was fun. This was amazing. And I'm like, you know what? That's primarily what I want, is for you guys to not only listen and say, oh, this was a great listen, but to have the person that is giving me an hour of their life that they will never get back to say, this wasn't a regret. This was, motivating, or this was fun, or this, made my day a little bit better. Or the fact that somebody actually, views them as somebody that they said, hey, I need you for a guest here, is something that I hold very well. And, I'm very grateful to have met Bacon. I'm very grateful to have met Erabus, and very grateful to met Salazar. These guys are doing their own content and they're killing their content. And I'm like, I don't want to copy what y'all do, but I don't want to not be a part of this group, because you guys are what I've been searching for. So when you see, those interviews, it's genuine and it's real. When I get excited that Bacon talks about Yu-Gi-Oh, or when I get, talking about Erabus, about Has Been Hotel, or even the calls that I've had, personally with some of these people, it's genuine and it's real. And it's because, it's something in my mind that has always made me want to talk to people, whether I'm scared or not. Let me go talk to this person. This person probably has an amazing story. And 90% of the time, 99% of the time, something that happens that's amazing to you, you typically brush off. A lot of people will say, well, it wasn't that crazy, or, maybe it was embarrassing, but to somebody else, it might be one of the greatest stories they've ever heard, or funny, or entertaining, or, awe-inspiring. It might be anything of that. So if you're listening, you matter. Just depends where. And for me, this is where I get to go and learn more. So I hope you guys will stick around and subscribe, and let's figure out what happened. And I know you guys are probably going to have questions. If you go to the Downtime in the Ring YouTube page, we don't have a lot of subscribers there, but what we did was fun. I mean, I got to meet UFC fighters, like contracted UFC fighters. Terrance McKinney, who has one of the fastest knockouts in UFC history. Miranda Maverick, that's my girl, man. When she comes back, it's gonna be wild. And getting to talk to these people, getting to sit here, talk to these people, sometimes people would consider as a flex. For me, it's an honor. I don't ever go around saying like, oh, I've gotten to live this life, I get to do this. I'm blessed. I am blessed. I'm blessed I've gotten to meet Matt Riddle. And we had a conversation at a show in West Texas, of all places, at an independent show. I'm grateful I've gotten to meet Nick Gage. I'm grateful I got to meet Tom Gibis, and we got to learn a little bit about his love for the Minnesota Vikings. Or Steve Staley, I got to see him at a convention in Albuquerque, and we got to just talk and hang out. Corey, oh God, Corey has so many wild things, and that's an amazing episode. I can't wait for y'all to come out. And then we had Bunny, who was a cosplayer at that place. She was awesome, and we got to help film her burlesque show. I don't know how to film something like this where I'm talking to you guys explaining who I am. But those are my shows that I've gone to do. And one focal point around everything is having a co-host means that the co-host can be busy, but the product still has to come out. Or, maybe what was fitting wasn't fitting anymore, but the product still has to come out. And from there, you have to think, well, what if I go on my own? And I'm still learning how to do all of this solo on my own. I am still learning how to, now I'm held accountable. If an episode doesn't come out. It's not equal parts. It is solely on me. Now I am accountable if the retention isn't hit or if something is going wrong. And it's been a huge change from going years of still doing it, but always saying, oh, there's a co-host, to now it is solely me. And I hope I'm doing good. That's all I ask, is if you guys have watched this far, let me know if I'm doing good. Let me know if these are entertaining. And if I'm doing good, consider subscribing and letting me know. That is the best way to let me know, hey, you're doing great. Because I'm not here to out anybody. I don't care what your lifestyle is, as long as you're not hurting people. Unless you're a fighter, because then sometimes that's kind of cool. And the stories they have is wild. But you know what I mean. Enjoy your life. And respectfully, let me praise you for it. Let me give you your flowers for it. You deserve it. Life's hard. Why don't we all just work on it together and have fun? Who knows who we'll meet? And when I say who we will meet, it's because you guys are getting genuine reactions. So if I pop in a video and you think it's awesome, or you pop when I pop in a video, we're experiencing it together. You're seeing the first parts. So don't ever think that when I say my community, I mean, I want you guys to experience things with me. And I hope you do. I hope you stay. I hope you enjoy it. Who knows what we'll get to do. And once I start getting bigger and bigger, then I'll start incorporating ways to help the community out more and bring the community on more and experience these things together. But I need you guys to trust me. Have faith. Have fun. Relax. Sit back. I hope you guys are having whatever makes y'all relax while you listen to this. Or I hope you're listening to this in a stressful situation so that this helps you. One thing I'll say is I used to listen to podcasts a lot when I worked in a factory. I used to work overnight. And that's what helped me. 14-hour shifts. And what would help me the most is listening to a podcast. Was I supposed to? No. Did I do it? Yes. Everybody does it. And I would do it, and I would hate what I'm doing. But I would listen to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast or the Jordan Harbinger show or Encounters of the Third Kind or Wrestling with Freddie or Chris Jericho's podcast or Come Town, because that was a funny podcast back in the day. Or like I had like 50 podcasts I would listen to. And I would just listen. And I would take in information from the ones that are teaching me things, and I would laugh, and and I hope I can be part of your rotation. I hope me and the guests can. So if you have faith in this, if you think that this could potentially be something that you like, consider subscribing, consider following. We're also going to be on Spotify. I forgot to say that too. So you can look up Crash City Pod on Spotify. We only have one episode as of right now, but we will gradually keep bringing everything else back. So I hope you guys just enjoy this. I do this because it makes me happy. But I hope that I help people be happy along the way. So, where can you find me? Well, you can find me Donovan _Barricade_Yruegas on Instagram or at iNorilla TV on Instagram or on X. Sorry. You can also find us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube, both at Crash City Pod. And thank you guys. You know, this was helpful. Thank you, Salazar, for suggesting this. And I will see each and every one of you in the next video.